Betrayal cuts deeper than any blade. It doesn't just break your trust, it rewrites your reality. You thought you knew who they were. You thought you knew who you were with them. And then, in a single moment, everything collapses. Kierkegaard once said, "Anxiety is the dizziness of freedom." But betrayal is worse. It's the dizziness of realizing the freedom you gave someone else has been turned against you. Here's the terrifying truth. Betrayal is not an exception in life. It is a certainty, not because people are always cruel, but because trust itself carries the seed of destruction. And if you don't understand this law, you will keep giving away your soul to those who never deserved it. So, let's pull back the curtain and expose betrayal for what it really is. A mirror, a weapon, and a teacher. Because until you understand betrayal, you will never understand trust. Most people think betrayal begins when someone lies, cheats, or abandons, but Kierkegaard would disagree. The real betrayal begins much earlier, in the moment you hand someone your peace of mind and let them carry it like it belongs to them. Psychology calls this projection. The act of placing your own hopes, values, and beliefs onto another person. You don't see them as they are. You see them as the role you need them to play. A friend becomes your confidant, but also your shield. A lover becomes your partner, but also your savior. A leader becomes your guide, but also your God. And when they fail to uphold the fantasy you've built, the collapse feels like betrayal. But here is Kierkegaard's haunting insight. The betrayal isn't in their failure, it's in your illusion. Because the truth is, they were never who you thought they were. You simply trusted a mask, mistook it for a face, and handed it the keys to your soul. That's why betrayal feels so personal. It doesn't just destroy trust in them, it destroys trust in yourself. You wonder, how could I have been so blind? And that question is the true wound betrayal leaves behind. Imagine standing on a cliff overlooking the sea. The ground feels solid beneath you until suddenly it gives way. That's betrayal. It doesn't just hurt, it destabilizes. Kierkegaard compared faith and trust to a leap into the unknown. To love, to believe, to rely on another person is to leap. You leave solid ground and surrender to something beyond control. But betrayal is when the net you thought was waiting beneath you isn't there. You don't just fall. You realize there was never a net at all. And in that moment, the terror isn't just the fall. It's realizing that you were the one who jumped. This is why betrayal feels like humiliation. Because the moment someone deceives you, your own hope becomes the accomplice. Your trust builds the weapon that wounds you. And this is what makes betrayal unlike any other pain. It is self-inflicted, but delivered through another. Betrayal isn't always dramatic. It doesn't always arrive as scandal, cheating, or knives in the back. Sometimes it's quiet, subtle, barely noticeable until it devours you from the inside. Think of the workplace. You give your loyalty to a company, believing it values you. You sacrifice nights, weekends, years, and then one day they replace you with someone cheaper, as if you were never there. Was that betrayal? Or was it the brutal revelation that your loyalty was never truly returned? Think of friendships. You share secrets with someone you thought you could trust. They listen, nod, promise silence. But weeks later, those words resurface in another mouth, twisted, reshaped, used against you. Was that betrayal? Or was it the cruel reminder that what you value, trust, others value as currency? Think of love, the one place where betrayal cuts the deepest. You open your soul, reveal your fears, surrender your defenses. And one day, you discover that the same vulnerabilities you revealed in intimacy are now used against you in conflict. The knife wasn't forged by them. It was forged by you, handed over willingly, sharpened with your own hope. And finally, think of yourself. Yes, self-betrayal is the most haunting of all. The times you promised never to tolerate mistreatment again, yet stayed. The times you swore you'd speak up, yet remained silent. The times you knew the truth, yet chose the lie because it was easier. Kierkegaard warned that despair often comes not from others, but from turning against your own authenticity. Betrayal from within. And here's the question that lingers like a ghost. Are we ever betrayed by others, or only by the illusions we create about them? Because if Kierkegaard is right, then betrayal is not a wound inflicted by them. It is the mirror showing you the truth you refuse to see. And if that's the case, then betrayal isn't an accident. It's inevitable. It's the cost of trust. And Kierkegaard believed the cost of being alive. Kierkegaard believed that betrayal isn't an external accident. It's baked into the very structure of human trust. The moment you choose to trust, you expose yourself to the possibility of being shattered. And here lies the paradox. Without trust, there can be no intimacy, no friendship, no community. But with trust, there can be betrayal. To live is to gamble with wounds. Modern psychology echoes this truth. Attachment theory shows that our deepest bonds are formed through vulnerability. We risk pain because we crave connection, but that craving blinds us. Neuroscience reveals that oxytocin, the so-called bonding hormone, doesn't just build trust. It also makes us more gullible, more likely to overlook red flags, more likely to give second chances where none are deserved. Betrayal is written into our biology. Freud called this repetition compulsion, our unconscious drive to recreate the very wounds that broke us, hoping to resolve them. But Kierkegaard saw it even darker. He argued that the anxiety of betrayal is existential. It's not about the other person, it's about us, our refusal to face the truth that no human being can ever fully carry the weight of our trust. Think of it. Every time you've been betrayed, the shock wasn't just that they hurt you. It was that you believed they couldn't. That belief was the illusion. Kierkegaard wrote that despair begins when we anchor our faith in finite things, people, promises, circumstances, and then watch them collapse. Betrayal is the collapse made visible. This is why betrayal cuts deeper than loss. Loss happens when something is taken from you. Betrayal happens when someone hands you the knife and lets you discover that you gave them the power to wound you. And the cruelest twist, sometimes betrayal isn't malicious. Sometimes it's unconscious. The friend who accidentally lets your secret slip. The partner who drifts into someone else's arms because they didn't know how to face their emptiness. The parent who broke their promises because they were broken themselves. Kierkegaard would say, this doesn't make betrayal less real, it makes it more terrifying, because it means betrayal isn't an exception, it's the rule. And yet, within this darkness lies a brutal kind of clarity. Betrayal forces you to see. It tears away illusions, burns off false faith, and leaves you standing alone with the only question that matters. If no one can be fully trusted, then who or what will you build your life upon? So what do you do with all of this? If betrayal is inevitable, if trust always carries danger, does that mean you must shut yourself off, become stone, never risk intimacy again? No, Kierkegaard would warn against that. To deny trust entirely is to deny life itself. But to give it blindly is to guarantee destruction. The path lies in something sharper, something harder, something few ever master. Conscious trust. Let's break it down. First, trust with eyes open. Most people trust with their eyes closed. They mistake closeness for loyalty. They confuse words for truth. But conscious trust means watching for patterns, not promises. In psychology, this is called behavioral consistency. Don't trust what people say. Trust what they repeat. Does their loyalty hold only when it's convenient? Or does it remain when it costs them something? Patterns reveal reality. Kierkegaard would say, faith is not naivety. It is risk chosen with awareness. 2. Learn to withhold. Trust is not a floodgate. It is a faucet. You don't pour yourself out all at once. You open slowly, carefully, observing how the other holds what you give. Reveal too much, too soon, and you hand them the blueprint to break you. But reveal with discipline, and you test their character without gambling your entire soul. 3. Expect betrayal, but don't worship it. Here is the hardest lesson. Betrayal will come. From friends, from lovers, from those you least expect. Kierkegaard would tell you, this should not paralyze you. It should prepare you. To expect betrayal is not to drown in paranoia. It is to strip away the illusion of permanence. Nothing human is permanent, and yet that doesn't make life meaningless. It makes it urgent. 4. Use betrayal as a mirror. When betrayal strikes, the instinct is rage, revenge, collapse. But Kierkegaard would challenge you to go deeper. Ask, what did this betrayal reveal about me? Did I ignore my instincts? Did I cling too tightly to an illusion? Did I trust not the person, but the story I wanted them to play? This doesn't justify their betrayal. It sharpens you. It ensures the wound becomes wisdom, not scar tissue. 5th, anchor yourself beyond people. Finally, Kierkegaard's most terrifying and liberating insight. No human being can bear the full weight of your trust. They will crack under it. They must. So where do you anchor? For Kierkegaard, the answer was the eternal God, or what he called the absolute. For you, it may mean a higher principle, a discipline, a code of self-sovereignty, something untouchable by betrayal. Because when your center is anchored beyond people, betrayal still wounds you, but it cannot break you. Betrayal is not an accident. It is not just a failure of character. It is the law of being human. Kierkegaard warned us, to exist is to be divided. Every man carries within him contradictions. Every woman holds shadows she cannot admit. And when those shadows burst to the surface, trust is the first casualty. You've seen this in your own life. The friend who swore loyalty, yet turned away when you needed them most. The lover who promised forever, yet collapsed at the first temptation. The ally who smiled to your face, but whispered against you in silence. At first, it feels like death, but in truth, it is awakening. Because betrayal is the stripping away of illusion. It forces you to see others and yourself, not as you wish them to be, but as they truly are. So here is your choice, the Kierkegaardian dilemma. Will you continue to live in the comfort of blind trust, always vulnerable, always fragile, always shattered by the inevitable? Or will you embrace the harder path, to trust with eyes open, to risk consciously, to accept that betrayal is not the exception, but the rule? Kierkegaard said the greatest despair is not to be betrayed. It is to betray yourself by refusing to see. If you anchor your soul in people, they will break you. If you anchor it in illusions, they will collapse. But if you anchor it in something deeper, a principle, a discipline, an eternal truth, then no betrayal can take away your foundation. You can lose friends, lovers, allies. You can be abandoned, slandered, betrayed, and still remain whole, because the one who trusts wisely is not destroyed by betrayal. He is refined by it. She is sharpened by it. They become something beyond ordinary, a rare individual who walks through the world untouchable. So I leave you with Kierkegaard's haunting question, one that cuts deeper than any wound. Will you let betrayal break you, or will you use it to wake up? Remember, The world does not collapse when trust shatters. The world collapses only when you collapse with it. Hold steady, stay anchored, trust wisely, and when betrayal comes, as it always does, let it carve you into someone the world can no longer break.